manager here at iSolved, and I'm joined by Miss Amy Mosher, our Chief People Officer.
Pleasure to be here, Hannah.
Happy to have you. Happy to have you. I know right now is a crazy time for many, and it's really hard to think about that we're actually somehow in the final stretch of 2022. I don't know how we got here, but we are. And 2023 will be here really before we know it. So I know that there's already a lot already in holiday mode. Decorations have already gone up in our neighborhood. And I know it's just crazy. So I wanted to pull you while I can, just to sit you down and kind of hear your thoughts on how HR leaders can kind of be prepared for the end of the year. Kind of getting all their ducks in a row and how we can go ahead and get a head start of the new year.
Great. Well, Hannah, no time like the present, right? It's been a whirlwind of a year. As we come out at the end of 2022, I really just like to encourage my fellow HR leaders to just make a checklist, if you will. The first thing that I would suggest being on that list is something I think that often you don't think of even putting on your list, and that's gratitude. We've experienced another crazy year. We're continuing to adjust to this post-pandemic workforce world and what's likely to be an economic downshift as well. So just showing your employees that you're grateful for them, the work that they're doing, and set those plans intentionally to celebrate those accomplishments, both as a team, their smaller team, but also just as a business, as an organization.
Yeah. You said that it's been a whirlwind, and I feel like anytime I log on to LinkedIn or something like that, there's just been so many layoffs, and so many people have suffered from a poor employee experience, and gratitude is definitely a great way to end the year on a high note. So good call on that. But, speaking of that poor employee experience, there were trends this year that kind of really reshaped the way that I feel like so many businesses ran not just their company, but also just their HR department. So do you kind of think that we'll see those same trends of quiet quitting, the great resignation? Do you think those are all going to kind of follow us into the following next year?
Yeah. Well, let's start with the great resignation, because not only is that just an incredible buzzword to kind of latch onto it, it's so true. 60% of employees made a job switch in 2022, which is crazy. And according to the recent iSolve survey, which I think we're going to talk about later, 49% of HR leaders that we surveyed are also considering a job switch in the new year. And that's up 4% from the same survey that we conducted last year. So employees are still seeking new roles into new employers. And it looks like it's for three reasons. I think that none of these will come as a surprise to anyone that's been in HR for a while, but they continue to be salary. Employees want better benefits, and they want more flexibility. So it's safe to say that at least for now, we can say, the great resignation is still going to follow us into the new year.
Okay. So keeping that in mind, say the clock strikes midnight on December 31st. Happy New Year, everyone. What exactly do you think the trends are going to be in 2023? What do you think we can expect, and what HR leaders can expect going forward next year?
Yeah. Top trend, I think, that we need to prepare ourselves for is this pay transparency. Pay transparency laws have jumped to the forefront. They've certainly gained some traction recently. It has been this growing trend over the last few years, as we focus on EDI&B and more equality overall. But what we're starting to see is that it is becoming law in many states. Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland, Nevada, Rhode Island, and Washington have already established some of these measures, but New York most recently established a new law that requires employers that are advertising their jobs to include a salary range, promotion, and transfer opportunity when they advertise. So something really stringent there in New York, which I think we're going to see more states follow this trend in the new year as well.
It's interesting to see something that was just kind of a trend at the beginning actually turning into a law. So it's really interesting. I'm intrigued to see what next year will hold. But kind of in the same years of what's going on next year, a lot of talk recently about a looming recession. Quite a bit, actually. Do you think that that'll kind of impair any hiring efforts that HR or recruitment teams are going to be facing this year? How do you think that's going to shape recruiting efforts in the new year?
I noticed this new survey that we've got coming out. Well, part of that is the HR Leaders Report, which is going to be released pretty soon. And in that, we're seeing that many employees and employers are starting to worry about this. 43% of HR feel that the recession is going to negatively impact their company, and 28% of those feel like they're not even secure in their own roles within the business. So, and that top reason for that is this potential for recession. And then the other piece of that is that employees are still worried that they're going to be able to find, that the company's going to be able to find individuals in the markets in which they do business with better skill sets than they have as well.
Do you think that there's an opportunity to, I know upskill is a big kind of word that we use here. Do you think there's an opportunity for companies to kind of focus on that a little bit more and upskill their current employees that they have so they don't have to go out and seek new talent?
Yes, always. Huge proponent for this. Upskilling is definitely a huge opportunity that I think is missed in a lot of organizations. We focus on it here at iSolve, but 46% of employees said that their company offers some type of upskilling opportunity, but I don't think that's enough. There's so much room for improvement. Many employees believe that there isn't room for growth in their own businesses, which is why they look for something new. And my piece of advice here, really honestly, is to invest in your employees. Create those opportunities for learning in a culture where it's valued and it's addressed and it's real. It's really just good business.
I mean, it's crazy to think that 2023 is coming around the corner just so soon. So definitely, you have great insight as always. I love kind of picking your brain just to hear about how we can prepare ourselves as leaders. Do you have anything else you think that we didn't really discuss? I love that you also talked about the HR Leaders Report. So you heard it here first. So we have our updated version coming in a couple months. So we're excited about that. But anything else you can think of that we need to know as leaders to, kick off 2023 on a great note?
It's going to be another year of challenges, nothing new, right, for the HR managers out there in the world. This is going to be a different type of challenge. There are a lot of people in the workforce that haven't seen a less than buoyed economy, potentially a down economy or in a recession. So there's going to be a lot of education, a lot of communication that we can do with our employees to help them be change ready in this way so that it doesn't negatively impact our business. From a culture perspective and from an efficiency perspective as well. So still a lot of opportunities for employees, certainly at iSolve, but in general, and those individuals who really can navigate that change well. And with change comes opportunity. So
yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I'm thinking about this now, like me as a millennial, like I've never been in the workforce and I've never experienced a potential recession while I'm actually working and clocking in every day and things like that. So that's a great point of knowing that there's opportunities out there and just it'll be another big learning year.
It will.
Oh, I appreciate your time, Amy. It's always great to sit down with you. And thank you to everybody. And keep an eye out for our HR Leaders Report coming in the next couple months.